Ladies and gentlemen of the Mortal Kombat community, I welcome you to a very special show. A show that will go beyond the personas of your favorite community members and give you a look at the person behind the player. Welcome to Life on Boon Street. Welcome one and all to Life on Boon Street. I am your host, TakeAChance. Tonight, we have a very special guest, a person who is world-renowned and whose name has become synonymous with the Mortal Kombat community, especially in Atlanta. This man has numerous top 8 finishes, including second at the most star-studded tournament since EVO, Final Round. He plays numerous characters, however most seem to identify him with Melina and Kenshi. He is our first guest ever, and I would like you all to please give a warm welcome to the one and only Pig of the Hut. Welcome.
Yay! Thanks I appreciate you having me on. Really appreciate the honor of being the first guest in your podcast.
The pleasure is all mine. So, let's get right into it. Tell us about your family growing up. What was life like being a young Brant McCaskill?
Well, the word around town was I was a class clown, always pulling practical jokes in school. I got into a lot of trouble. Got into my first fight at school in 3rd grade. I got my ass beat. It was over a girl in 3rd grade. Grew up with my mother and father, and I had a sister, and numerous dogs through the years. I grew up in Dublin, Georgia. 25,000 people living there in the town in Lawrence County. And every time I go to the Georgia Dome to watch a Falcons game, I always think about that. 25,000 people can fit in there 3 times. Like, that's how small the city is. And there's many different aspects of that town that I'll never miss being in Atlanta. But there are some things I do miss, like the people I grew up with, and a lot of the high school, junior high stories, and even middle school stories, that things I got myself into that I hold on to. But I lived there for 16 years before moving up to Atlanta.
You talk about memories you'll never forget. Would you care to share one with us? Maybe about your junior or high school?
Okay, I'll share a couple of stories. Oh man, I want to make sure I pick the right one. I'm kind of known, amongst my really close friends, like in the Atlanta area, especially when I first moved up there. They're like, well, who's this kid who has a strong Southern accent? That's another thing. I had a strong Southern accent. I sounded more country than you could ever imagine. Like,
you had a drawl?
Good Lord. If you would have did this podcast 14 years ago, everyone would be making fun of me. And I don't even know. I can't even fake it anymore. Like a Mortal Kombat. Like, I don't know. I can try, but it's just stupid, But back then, dude, it was totally legit. Real quick, me and my best friend back in the day, Kevin Bowman, growing up, he moved to Raleigh. I moved to Atlanta. We both moved on the same day. And one thing interesting that we both promised each other was, first thing that we're going to do is fix our accents. Because once we moved up to our respective places, we call each other and we're like, God, we sound stupid.
So it was a conscious effort to lose language.
Okay, for example, my friends in Atlanta always joke with me to this day. I used to wear some crazy clothes. I don't want to say Lady Gaga. That is way too harsh. But I used to wear silver shirts and I would just do it up, and I don't care. And the thing about me growing up was one thing that I always was. One thing that was always consistent was I always played sports. So I was friends with, the preps or the jocks, and I was friends with the rockers and the druggies and the gothic people, and then the emo people, which you'd call them now. And then I was friends with the Hicks and the Rednecks and things like that. I was always friends with them. I always felt like that was something I admired about myself, was I could always walk into a room and adapt to the people, because I guess I just kind of grew up in that environment and just, I don't, you have your cliques and stuff like in junior high and high school, but like you have to understand, in Dublin, Georgia, 25,000 people, the cliques matter. I mean, the goths don't talk to the preps don't talk to the jocks. I mean, well, actually, yeah, they do. The preps and jocks are kind of synonymous, but I don't know. I just kind of stood out. But what was interesting was I was always kind of a wild card on the sport teams, hang out with these guys. But when I moved to Atlanta, I mean, they didn't know me. So all they knew about me was I dressed really weird. I looked weird. I had long hair down to my mid-back, dyed black with red tips. And I have a strong Southern accent, and I say I play guitar. That's all they know about me. And they're just like, who the hell is this guy? and then like the next day in class, I'm like on tryouts for the baseball team. and they're like, this guy can't be serious. And they're like, oh, now you're starting third baseman. It's like, but I played a lot of sports growing up. I've always been into sports competition, which kind of leads to Mortal Kombat, but we'll talk about that later. But I played third base in baseball, left field, catcher, football. I was always a tight end or defensive back. Actually, I was really fat when I was like 12. I think that's fifth grade. They had a weight restriction of what you could weigh to carry the ball, and it was 120 pounds. And back in fifth grade, I was 5'8" and weighed 5'6". I think it was like 5'6" and weighed 123 pounds. And everyone weighed at the time like 70 pounds. So they just would give me the ball, and I would just run.
Yeah.
And so basically they figured out that, okay, this can't happen anymore. This is bullcrap, because our little Danny is falling off his ankles. He can't pull him down. Because I wasn't like muscular. I was just fat. Like, it's just really big. And so anyway, they started putting a large X on my helmet to say, it basically was a reminder, hey, fat boy, you can't run when you pick up the football. so then, like, I don't know, the next 2 or 3 years, I lost a lot of weight and started playing other positions because it kind of got to me, but whatever. I don't care. And then I played varsity tennis and at my old school, Dublin High School. And a lot of people don't know that. I actually used to be a really big tennis player. And football and baseball and soccer were my other sports. I've always sucked ass at basketball. Like, my height, they always wanted me to play. But man, I am so bad at that sport. I'm god awful.
What would you say was your favorite sport? To play, I should say.
Back then, my favorite sport was probably baseball. And then probably tennis. But my favorite sport today is, without question, football. And if I'm like at the gym, or if I'm at home, or if I'm just in a casual place and a tennis match is on, then it kind of brings something out in me. I'm like, oh man, I love this again, type thing. I want to go play tennis again. But I don't know. I never played golf. I took some lessons. I was terrible. I was ass at it. It was kind of like basketball. But my favorite sports today are football. Like, if any of my friends ever called me at any day this week or next week or this summer and said, hey, we got like 8 or 10 people, let's go play a touch game or a tackle game, I am first one there. Like, I love that stuff. I love it so much.
No X on your helmet anymore, though, right?
Actually, one time they did put an X on my back for fun. Because they're like, come on, fat boy. like picking at me and stuff, but I don't care. I'm not fat anymore, but I don't know, whatever. We like to joke with each other constantly, like friends and stuff.
I will just say for the record, I've heard a lot of things about Pig of the Hut, but I have never heard anyone say that you were fat. So
I personally don't care. Like, I don't know. Like, I just think it's funny. Like, I don't care if someone's fat, not fat, this, that. I don't care. But it's just, I don't know. But one story I'll say that a lot of my friends really enjoyed me telling when I first met them and started hanging out with them. They started to realize, okay, this guy, although he looks weird and wears silver shirts and we don't understand him because he plays guitar and baseball, that doesn't make sense to us. He has like really crazy stories that's happened to him. And like the weirdest things always happen to me, like the craziest situations. But okay, I digress. Yeah, so back in 7th grade, there was a story that I don't know. A lot of people seem to like, especially my friends here and stuff. One time, well, this was the first time that it was spring break. It was March, second week of March, I think, 7th grade. Someone had the wacky plant with them, and they're like, "I'm sorry, I was a bad kid. I just have to come out and say it." Anyway, but they had the wacky plant with them, and they basically all wanted to try it. So I was like, "Yeah, let's do it. Whatever." Okay. So there was this field like behind our where we used to live in Cedar Creek in Dublin, and it was about 300 yards big. It was about 2 or 3 football sizes, and it was about another 300 or 400 yards from the road, and about 200 yards from a Kroger, which is, I'll get to that later. But anyway, so one of my moronic friends at the time, after we had been playing with the wacky grass, basically said, "Oh my gosh, dude, let's set these." Well, I'm sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. The grass on the field, like the 200, 300, 400 yard field, came up to almost our knees, like probably like our calves, almost to the knees, depending on who you were. But anyway, so one of my moronic friends at the time thought it'd be a really cool idea to light 2 pieces of grass on fire, and on a really dry field and windy afternoon. But all of us thought it was a great idea. We're like, yeah, let's do that. And like, you race that one, I'll race this one. This guy's my piece of grass. So we're talking about who, burns to the bottom first, like wins. And I can't remember if there was a prize. But so the 2 pieces of grass were lit. I can't remember if they were called names or anything like that, but those 2 guys were racing, okay? And this amazing breeze occurred around the same time. And it was like a soft breeze. And my friend Eric at the time was like, "Dude, turn around, feel this breeze." So we turned around. And I don't know how long we were sitting there and standing there. But the next thing I remember, swear to God, was this immense heat behind my legs. And I turned around, and about this time, that breeze in the dry land had pushed that small ass flame that we set amongst like 20 or 30 yards in front of us. And it was growing fast. And all of a sudden, this dumb idea, this stupid race, turned into a burning of a field. And with 4 morons out there by the road. You could see the field by the road, like if you look hard enough. But you could definitely see the fire and the smoke. So the next thing so we're freaking out. We're like, "Oh gosh, blah 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 blah." We got our big ass jinkos and jeans back in the day and long hair, and we really stupid looking. And so the next idea was like, "Dude, we gotta put it out. We gotta fight it. And I was like, okay, let's fight it." So we just all took off all of our clothes down to our boxers. Like nobody said take off your clothes. We just started taking off our clothes.
Okay, and so the first guy that started to do this, you all looked at him and you said, "That is the smartest one in our group right now. Let's do what he's doing." And just
exactly. And so we I guess the idea was our big jeans, pants, clothes, whatever, is just to beat it with it. And then somebody found, like, you play baseball or kickball and you see those like plastic bases, like those blue base, the red base, or things like that. Okay, one of those was out there, and it was like half on fire. And one of our friends, Trey, he picked it up and started like beating the fire with that. So we're all beating it with our clothes, and everyone can see this from the road. So we're out there just beating it, and it is growing way out of control, like way out of control. And so after like fighting the flames, and some people are screaming, "It's working!" And then other people scream like, "You fucking idiot, it's not working! We're about to die!" So we just decided to grab our clothes, what was left of it, and like all of our hair is singed up and stuff at this point. And we ran into that Kroger through the back entrance, covered in black smoke. We didn't know this at the time, but covered, like face and everything, head to toe, in black smoke. Most of us are like totally naked with holes in our boxers that are burned from the flames. It's terrible. None of us have arm or leg hair anymore. Those who did back then. And we all go into a onesie bathroom in Kroger, like this, like a one stall, and we're using like the toilet water, sink water, any kind of water we can find to just wash the black smoke off. I guess we were thinking in our heads that if we wash it off, no one will think anything was wrong. It's like the stupidest idea. But we honestly should have probably just ran home instead of running to a public place, totally covered red-handed, basically. Like, hey guys, look at us. You see that fire in the background? Yeah, that's us. Look at us. We're covered in black. So, anyway, after walking out, a lot of people saw us, especially when we left. People were telling people, and people started crowding around that hallway. It's like a hallway, when you go like to Walmart or someplace, and there's like a hallway to a bathroom. Well, there's a like emergency exit that we came in through the other side, but some people saw us like wait for people in the bathroom, or like there's a men and a women's, and obviously we went in the men's, and that would have been a worse situation when we go in the women's. But anyway, so we left there and we went home. None of us got caught, but all of our parents knew. Yes. We were busted so hard, but we didn't get legally caught, but we got caught,
Which is sometimes almost worse.
Yeah, no, that was that was definitely. I think that was definitely worse. But I don't know. There's other stories about different house parties, and I don't know. I'll just probably leave it there.
Well, currently you're synonymous with the Atlanta scene. So you grew up in this small town. Can you tell us about how you actually made it to Atlanta?
Yeah, that's kind of complicated, but yeah, I can tell. Basically, I lived in Dublin for 16 years of my life, the first 16 years of my life, and my mother had left Atlanta at 14. My parents weren't divorced; they never were divorced whatsoever. My mom decided to leave Dublin to go to Atlanta, and she basically left everything that she had and everything that she had worked for in her life. She basically left, and her son that she loved, me, and our dog at the time, Jarvis, and her husband, who, mind you, my dad's actually half paralyzed, like on the left side. He's actually half paralyzed due to a football accident back in '63. He played on FSU, Florida State Seminoles, about the same year Burt Reynolds played.
Oh, wow.
Burt Reynolds, the actor, yeah, he played on the same team. But back then the pads were as thick as our pinky.
Yeah.
And it's nowhere near the quality. And the medical technology is nowhere near what it is today. But he had a spinal cord injury, and ever since then was paralyzed. And with age, it gets far worse.
Yeah.
I watched after my dad and stayed with my dad for 2 or 3 years while my mom went to Atlanta. And the reason why she went to Atlanta is because my sister was extremely sick. And she basically, they had to go to Atlanta for a lot of reasons to try to help my sister. Like a lot of mental problems and a lot of health problems and just a lot of issues. And so she basically had the courage and bravery to quit everything that she had here and put it on my shoulders to kind of watch after my dog and who I was extremely close to, and of course my dad, who I was close to, and go to school and try to be a good person, but I'm kind of like this wild kid, so I had to grow up pretty fast.
Yeah.
So yeah, between what was that, 14 to 17 or 14 to 16. Anyway, so she moved up here with my sister, and there was a lot of questions. Should we move in 6 months to live up there? So basically, she commuted 3.5 hours back to Dublin about 2 weekends out of the month or 3 weekends out of the month to come see us. And sometimes we'd go up there. Like when I got 16, I was able to drive, so I got familiar with it. But like driving with Atlanta and stuff. But yeah, so after my junior year, I had a major incident in the city of Dublin. Mm-hmm. Basically,
this is before you left?
Yeah, this was before I left Dublin. I had a major situation with somebody who was very rude and mean to my sister. Mm-hmm. It basically got to the point to where I could not be near or in this town with this guy because I kind of blamed him a little bit for the condition my sister got in. And it wasn't like a relationship thing. It was just like a mental bullying, torture,
Yeah.
tormenting type thing.
Hmm.
And it's almost like I blamed him for the strife he caused, the situation we had to go through. So honestly, I mean, school officials just kind of told my mom, "You kind of got to get him out of the city." And he plans to go to Atlanta to go to college anyway. Brant's not a small town guy. He doesn't want to be in small town. He has bigger and better aspirations than what a small town can offer. So why not take him now? Now's the perfect time. So I actually did. So we went up there and we actually moved in between my, what was that, sophomore? Yeah, in between sophomore and junior year. So I had to start junior year at Dunwoody High School, which is an Atlanta high school. Which I don't know if you know, but man, switching schools, like switching cities, switching schools, like 10th to 11th grade, like, when you get to like 10th, 11th grade in high school, people know who you are.
Yep.
They kind of get their cliques, got their people, they know who plays sports, they know this guy. So back to the situation I said, me coming into Atlanta, and they're like, oh my God, who's this kid? It was even more strange that it was 11th grade and whatnot. But yeah, so between 10th and 11th grade, it was chosen that I should leave Dublin, move up here, and not wait till college to do so. And I was like, yeah, what are we waiting for anyway? Let's go ahead and do it. So, went through the whole thing, selling the house and moving up here, living in apartments for a little bit, and then bought a house and so forth. And then I eventually met a lot of people and started a lot of bands up here and got involved with a lot of people.
Found your clicks.
Do what?
Found your clicks.
Yeah. Found my cliques and, found the people who most I'm still friends with today. There's a couple of people I'm not friends with, but most people I'm still really close to and friends with since the middle of my junior year. It took me about 6 to 8 months to find the people I really wanted to hang out with and start being friends with. I was kind of in desperate mode for the first month or two. I'm like, Jesus, guys, I'm not that bad. Hang out with me. Because I've always been an extremely social person. And someone who just loves constantly doing things, having fun, organizing parties, doing this, that, always about, team activities, sports. And then I move up here and I didn't do any of that. Actually, I would probably say I probably got the best or made the most improvements at my guitar around junior year, only because I didn't do anything else.
So you kind of took your attention and focused it on your music ability.
Yeah, I focused it really on my health and working out, my health and fitness, my dog. We took 4-mile walks a day.
Oh, wow.
A lot of guitar playing, a lot of thinking, a lot of writing, a lot of just being creative type stuff. And I kind of enjoy, looking back, I kind of really enjoyed that period. It was kind of enlightening. It was kind of a growing up period.
Kind of a good period of self-discovery, really.
Yeah, it was interesting.
Yeah.
But then, basically, I've always been into sports, music, entertainment, video games. So that's one thing I don't think that has changed since day one.
Just speaking about creativity, as I'm not sure if most of the audience is aware, but they will be now, you were born Brant McCaskill. Why did you choose the moniker of Pig of the Hut?
I wish I had a better story, but I don't. The thing about Pig of the Hut is it's interesting to me now because it's almost, to me, it means more. How do I put this without sounding really stupid? Okay, well, this is how I got the name. I'm a musician. I play guitar. Even back in Dublin, I was the guy who started the first band in Dublin. During our junior high school, I was kind of the guy to initiate that, get that thing going. And then the next week, there's all these freaking bands. It's wow, all you guys just went and pissed a band away. It's it's 15 bands all of a sudden in Dublin. But basically in Dunwoody, one thing I did try to do when I got here was get involved with people through music. And I did. And eventually, after being a part of bands, starting bands, it led to my closest friends that I had in Atlanta and Dunwoody. We were very creative, and we wanted to start an industrial shock rock band. In the likes of Nine Inch Nails, Thrill Kill Cult, KMFDM, Ministry, like that kind of stuff, but like just go crazy. Like we wanted to destroy stuff like people have never seen on stage, but also like be talented. Like, and our singer at the time was like very video oriented, so we would syncopate all our backup tracks. I mean, we did backup tracks before it was cool to do backup tracks. I mean, I'm like pissed that everyone does like backup tracks. It's gotten stupid now, but yeah, we did. You know, I have always been into like audio engineering, so I produced like all of our CDs and stuff, and he produced like all this videos. And the band name was called Pig Hut. It was called Pighut, Pig Hut. And actually, I shouldn't have to spell that because I feel like I do have to spell that with anyone else I talk to. But like the fucking Mortal Kombat community, I think they know what Pig Hut. Yeah, okay, never mind. I'm sorry. I'm so used to having to spell it when I tell people. I'm sorry. But basically, we actually we actually had like a lot of good success, and you know we opened up for what's that? 30 Seconds to Mars, Jared Leto's band. Mm-hmm. We opened up for Orgy when they were cool, but now they're not. But orgies are still cool. Godhead, when Godhead was popular, now he's totally gone. We actually opened up for KMFDM.
Really?
And yeah, it was in Atlanta. It was pretty awesome. And also the Genitortures. The Genitortures, you could look them up. I guess it's GENI Torturers. It's one word. I'm trying to think who else and we also sold one of our songs to the Atlanta Falcons in 2003, and they used in a TV commercial.
Wow.
Yeah, we had a lot of good success in that band. We had a lot of good success in the band. A lot of good times, a lot of good shows. Just really good stuff. We dressed up really funny. Like, oh yeah, this is actually kind of funny. Like we would always dress up like Motley Crue, or like not so much Motley Crue, but like, I don't know, just like shock rock stuff. Like we wear makeup, we do pomade in our hair, we wear like thigh high boots, we'd wear like cut off army shirts. Like the army supply store was the place we got most of our costumes for like shows. And that's another thing, going into army stores and like looking how we looked and then buying all that crap. Man, we got some crazy looks.
Which is also now back. So
I know. But another thing is, when we were back, speaking of army store, I found the most badass Cabal replica mask, and I don't know what happened to it. I bought it, and I actually dressed up as Cabal like maybe 8 years ago for a Halloween. I just had a Halloween party and stuff. No one knew who the hell I was, but but it was a badass mask. I wish I could find the picture.
If you do, I'll be happy to share it.
Yeah, I actually really want to find it. I remember it being really good. Like I had hook swords and everything.
Oh. Did you buy those at the military store?
I think at the time I did. It was either then or eBay. But the interesting thing about Cabal, real quick, is he has been my main character in every single Mortal Kombat game. I picked possibly the absolute worst Mortal Kombat. I picked the Mortal Kombat. Like the worst Mortal Kombat did not use him as my main character. You know what I mean? Like Mortal Kombat Deception, Mortal Kombat UMK3, like all the games. Cabal was my dude, and I didn't use him for this game. Cyrex for that matter as well. The two probably top 5, top 6, top 7 characters I decided not to use. My first character was Ermac. I'm like looking back, like Jesus, man, what the fuck was I thinking? I should have gone there. Should have gone with Cabal. I started with Ermac and Smoke. Anyway. I'm getting ahead of myself.
Yes, we'll definitely get more into that as the night goes on. Do you have a preference about what you'd like to be called tonight? I know I've been using Brant, we've been talking about Pig of the Hut. Do you have a specific name? Do you like just Pig? Do you like Mr. Hut?
Mr. Hut? No, definitely not Mr. Hut. That makes me sound like an elitist. But yeah, just a real quick, like, going back to the name thing, just to clarify, I just got it. That was our band name, Pig Hut. And we had no reason to name the band Pig Hut. It was like Jimmy's Chicken Shack. If you Google or wiki Jimmy's Chicken Shack, it was a band name. And we were joking about how that's the dumbest band name ever. So we're like, well, let's just go with Bobby's Pig Hut. So then we said, oh, let's just do Pig Hut. And we did Pig Hut. And that was it. That's all. That's the best story I have. And at the time, I bought an Xbox like maybe a month after that conversation in the band. I was like, I really dig our band. I'd like to promote our band. I want to be a representation for our band. I'm kind of the band leader. So I'm going to go with Pig of the Hut. And I just, maybe like 1999, I made that, maybe like 1999 or 2000, I made that my Xbox Live tag, and it hasn't changed since.
Wow, that's quite a commitment.
When in the new Mortal Kombat and also MKDC, I tried to change my name, Pig of the Hut, to Bam Bam Guitar, and that's why, like, on Skype and stuff, and my PS3 handle is Bam Bam Guitar. Mm-hmm. But like, people kept calling me Pig, and they kept saying like, "Why the hell did you change your name to Bam Bam Guitar?" So that lasted for like maybe 8 hours. so then I just kept I just went back to Pig of the Hut. And I was like, yeah, what am I kidding? It's like, I don't know. It just kind of works now. It kind of fits. Like the name Pig of the Hut matters to me more than the band accomplishments I had with Pig Hut.
Well, Pig of the Hut is now a representation of not only yourself, but of your character too, right?
Yeah.
You know, but speaking of a representation of yourself, let's flash forward to the present. We kind of talked about your past a little bit. I want to know about your current living situation. When everyone watched Final Round, we met your lovely wife. Tell us a little bit about how you met.
Interesting enough that my friends that I have not talked to in forever, if I told them I'm married, they would be like, "What?" It's like, "You're married? What? That's crazy. Like, I don't see you having a kid or being married." But anyway, it's kind of funny. I still get that when I meet people from back in the day I haven't talked to. But yeah, so currently, I'm married. Amanda is my wife, and we met when I was playing with another band, a country band. And we were playing at some country, like some club that was country. I don't want to say country club because that sounds all snazzy, but it's not. It's actually a place where country music's played. So it's like
the opposite of a country club.
You can't use club and country in the same like phrase or title. You have to say country bar. So I'm going to say country bar.
Or barn.
Yeah, country barn. Exactly. This place actually was a shithole. But anyway, so we were like in that band. We were playing some like test shows to get our set ready, get like our sound together and this and that. And we also, we're just doing like these test shows and stuff and testing out originals with people like intimate audiences and stuff, and just kind of get the hang of things and get used to playing with each other on stage. So anyway, my singer at the time went to acting school and modeling school or model agency crap or whatever with Amanda. And none of us knew Amanda. And Amanda could also sing. She sang country as well. And my singer at the time asked her to come sing with us a couple of songs on stage. At the time, I had like 2 or 3 months prior to this just broke up with my ex-girlfriend. And I was kind of down about it and wasn't really looking for a relationship whatsoever. And she came and played a song with us, and she came with her boyfriend, and we just kind of talked here and there. And me and my drummer at the actually, he's still one of my best friends, Brian. We were like, "God, she is hot!" Like we were like the whole time we were screwing up all night when she was on stage because we were looking back at each other, back and forth. Yeah, this is a really weird conversation to have with my drummer now, but I don't care. but we're all like, "Damn," like this and that and stuff. So I thought I had absolutely no chance with her. But we just kept in contact, and her boyfriend at the time turned out to be a complete asshole and crazy and extremely controlling and this and that. And it lasted like a month after that. And I don't know, we back in the day, MySpace, when that was cool, we kept in touch with each other on MySpace, and we just decided to hang out one time. And we went to, oh God, where did we go? I think we went to like the mall, which is really weird. It makes me sound like I'm 13. We went to the mall and some other places and just kind of hung out. We went to a movie. The first movie we saw together was Sex Drive, that comedy. Yeah, dude. so like, I think like,
hey, you want to hang out and go watch Sex Drive?
Yeah, that's probably was my idea. Because I at the time wanted to see it because I don't know, it just looked funny. But I think we went to the mall, we went to Chili's, and like just like somewhere casual, just to have like a quick dinner. Nothing. I mean, I wouldn't take a date to Chili's for God's sakes. And then we went to I don't know. Then we went to the movie and just kind of hit it off from there, and things kind of hit off pretty quick. Like within a week, we were like
right in the movie theater.
No, not in the movie theater. Absolutely not. It's fun. As I remember, there's nothing that happened in the movie theater. But I do remember, like, within a week after that, like, things got serious talking, and I was explaining to her that I was getting out of this relationship and didn't know if I really wanted to get in a relationship. And then all my friends said that I'm fucking stupid for telling her that and this and that. And I was like, you know what? I need to do this. I need to call her up and give this a shot. I don't need to let past occurrences or things that happened in the past, like my previous relationship with the girlfriend I told you I broke up with ended in the worst way. It was awful. And that's why I just didn't want any, like, more drama or anything. So, but anyway, I just jumped on it and said, okay, let's give it a shot. And we did. And I don't know, 3 years later, we're married.
Wow.
3 or 4 years. Yeah. Was that 4 years now? Yeah. I think it's 4 years now.
4
Oh
years.
my God. Yeah.
Wow. So what does she think of your current gaming career?
And real quick, when I say family, I need to mention my beautiful daughter, 15-month-old Zoe.
Oh, most definitely.
Yeah, she is. She's more than what I could have imagined of having a child.
Wow.
And it's just really special. Yeah, it's really. I don't know. I mean, I'm with my work and everything that I do with school. Like, I'm back in school taking TriCaster certification, video editing, and special effects, and all that crap, and also TV production, and like working 2 jobs and playing in 3 bands currently. It's like that's the one thing that really bothers me. It's like I try to give all my free time, especially during the day. Like right now, it's like, what is it, like midnight? Hell, she's been asleep 3 hours. But yeah, I'm trying to spend as much time as I can with my family because I know how precious that is.
What you just said, it's just going to sound a little silly, but there's one picture going on in my head. And do you watch The Simpsons at all, or did you used to watch The Simpsons? It's an oldie.
Man, I did like the first 3 or 4 years.
Have you ever seen the one where Homer Simpson, he wants to quit his job at the nuclear power plant? And
I think so.
He has to go back and beg for his job back. But at the end of the episode, he has the picture of Maggie inside his workstation, and it has it with the sticky letters on the wall. Do it for her. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what it reminded me of when you just said that. So that's quite powerful. It was really.
Didn't he quit because like the boss was mistreating him and this and that?
Yeah, basically.
I can't. Out of any episode of The Simpsons that I could possibly remember, I do remember that episode.
Yeah, it was one of the better ones, but that's exactly what it reminded me of.
Oh, yeah, that's cool. Yeah, it's crazy. I'm married. I have a kid now, and it's like I'm like a family guy or something.
So, what does she think of your gaming career? Because I could only imagine bringing my wife to Final Round. I can't because it wouldn't happen. It would not. Dude,
that would be a pretty. I would never live past that interview. If you ever interviewed her, or if anybody ever got her on a podcast, God, I'd get destroyed. Like, I could never, like, I can put up with any, like, trolling or this or that, but that would be so damning. No, okay, like, all jokes aside. Like, she knows, like, when I'm applying for a band, like shows or a tour, or if I'm applying for music school or this or that or blah, 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 like, anything that I do, I take extremely seriously. Because I don't believe in half-assing something I really care about.
Sure.
And, same thing goes for Mortal Kombat. Same thing, like when I go to a tournament, I actually put my money on the table and spend my money to go out to tournaments. Mm-hmm. You damn well better expect that I'm going to be prepared. You know what I mean? Like Final Round and the NEC and Evo, but I was pretty disappointed with Evo. I got top 32, but I was pretty upset with it. But yeah, so she understands that I have a very competitive personality and nature and kind of aggressiveness about me. Like if I see something I want it, I'm gonna go get it. And it's like hell to pay if you try to stop me. But so she knows that it's really interesting. Like we have interesting conversations about it, and like I'm playing in bands now, but I'm currently not playing in one that like constantly tours. And so she sometimes will say things to me like, well, you're going to Chicago for UFGT, you're going to Evo and MLG. It's actually cool she knows names of them. She's like, it's like you're gone all the time. And I have denied some opportunities to go play with some touring bands, like touring acts and stuff.
Yeah.
And like not good pay. That's one of the reasons I turned it down anyway. But it's I always remind her and say, this is something that I really am into and that I genuinely love to do. I love the community. I love the people that I talk with, I hang out with, people like you, people like anyone that I get to spend time with at these events. Like, it means a lot to me. I love the game. And think of it like this, when you're sleeping, she goes to bed like 10, like 10 o'clock at night, 10:30. And I'm a late night person anyway. So that's the times I practice. Yeah. Like, you'll barely see me play. If you see me on during the day, it means she's either at school or work or like hanging with friends. And she's got the baby with her. That's exactly what that means. If you see me online during the day, either that or she's watching a DVD on my Xbox. But yeah, so I do all my practice and like training and this and that at nighttime when she's asleep. And I don't know, like I always remind her that what if I went on tour with these bands? I'd be gone maybe like 2 months out of the year. And if I've only been out of town so far to NEC and I'm going out of town for Evo, UFGT and stuff, but it's really not that much when you think about it. But I honestly do, and a lot of people online know, I put a lot of time into this game online, like practicing and stuff. And like I'll go to Lord the Fly's house, Mike's house, and we'll have like 7-hour practice sessions offline. Time will just fly by. And I'll have my phone volume off, and I'll look at my phone and have like 34 text messages from my wife, like, where the fuck, where are you? Blah 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 blah. Who are you hanging out with? This or that, so it's kind of funny.
Who is she?
Yeah, exactly. Who is she? I'm like, well, she's Melina today. I'm just like, she might be Jax tomorrow. So, I mean, she, she came to final round, and I think she was kind of impressed with, I guess, the intensity in everyone's eyes, and you could kind of feel the intensity of it and this and that. And another thing is, to be completely honest with you, like, she's been to some local tournaments with me, but like as a musician, when I go and play shows, as a competitor in a fighting game, when I go to compete, I don't care if it's a local, I don't care if it's at my friend's house, I don't care if it's at Evo, I absolutely do not like to be talked to. Like, and she knows that. Like, she got like really mad at me one night. We went to like a local Battle and Brew tournament. And, I was mentally prepping for my matches and stuff. And she wanted to talk to me about some like, family stuff or, kind of joking with me about, just kind of like how we joke like away or like when we're together and stuff. And I'm just not having it. I can become a big asshole when like I'm trying to focus on something or work on something. Like if I'm working on a hard piece of music that I just want to learn myself or whatever, like if I'm in practice mode, like work mode, then don't talk to me. Like if I'm focusing on a grand finals match or a top 8 match or even my first match, like people know, like I just want to sit and think and talk. It was a really big headache trying to help run final round and to compete in the tournament. That was hard.
Well, you handled it well, right?
I feel like I handled it well. Some people, most people would say I did, and then you get your naysayers that try to like make dumb shit up, like, "Oh, you rigged the brackets." I'm like, yeah. Think about what you're saying here. I took someone else's baby that they make money off of continuously every year, and they would actually allow me to do that. Like, are you fucking serious? Like, you morons? Like, I don't know. There's a couple of people that said that, but whatever. That's so dumb.
Speaking of that part of being in the community, we've all experienced or have witnessed some pretty public blow-ups in our community. What does she think whenever you go on with instances where you're getting angry or you're getting emotional at other people?
You mean like during a match or like...
Anytime during a match, or if maybe you're like blowing someone up on a forum or something, like I don't know if she sees that type of stuff.
She used to go. She used to actually be a member on Mortal Kombat United, like a long time ago, like when we first started dating, and she was Panda O the Hut. And it was actually funny because a lot of people thought there's something wrong with her because if you say Panda O the Hut, it sounds like there's something wrong with you. Like, why didn't you put the F? But she ran out of characters. So it was Panda O the Hut. Anyway, so she used to go there and you just kind of like get involved in the community to try to get closer to what I am involved in. It was it's really cool. Mm-hmm. And like she clogs as well. She's a clogger. Yeah, I forgot to mention that. And I try to get into clogging for her, and I don't want to talk about that anymore. It's like, clogging stupid.
Explain clogging to some of those that aren't aware. I am actually sadly aware of clogging.
Clogging is like when you wear these shoes that go click, 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 clack, and you do a lot of dancing, line dancing, and like just crazy ass like steps, and it's like you're just making like weird rhythms and percussion type sounds with your feet, and it's usually in country music and hoedown music and bluegrass, but they also do it to like Michael Jackson and stuff, like contemporary clogging. And there's like all these clogging competitions and stuff. It's like river dance for your ankles.
So like any time that she gets upset about your Mortal Kombat, you just like say clogging, and then she shuts up.
Well, she hasn't clogged in a while, but like anytime she gets mad at my Mortal Kombat stuff, I'm honest. I'm just like, okay, well, let's go do this or spend time together, blah, 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 blah. She's like, well, God, you slept to 4 a.m. last night or 5 a.m., last night playing or training or this or that. It's like, can't you come to bed earlier so you wake up early and spend more time? And I am guilty of that. Like, I need to, and I have been better about going to bed earlier. But, like there was one time I stood up to like 6 a.m. on a podcast with 16-bit.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. The next day, I got the wrath of hell. because the next day, like our baby like woke up like really early, and like I was no help in the morning, so it was kind of like things like that. Then when I did get up, I had to go to work, and I don't know. So yeah, I mean, I'm not perfect, but neither is she, neither is anybody.
I can also tell you, you're not alone.
Yeah. I mean,
I can tell you that.
I have no problem being vulnerable. Letting people know what I suck at or what I may not suck at, but what I have problems with, or sometimes I'm not perfect at, it's like, we're all people. Like in this community, we are all human beings. We are all people. And we all have great things that we do. And then we have things that we're not so good at. And then we all have our issues, and we all have issues.
Well, I like what you said. We are all people, right?
Yeah, we're all people. And I try, despite any, like, there's been like extremely few cases where I've had like a personal problem with someone in the community. There's been extremely small cases because, I mean, really, we're all here with a common interest. We're all brought together in some form or fashion because we all like the same thing. It brought us together. One thing that I love about being introduced to this community in 2002, I think 2002 or 2003, I was introduced to the Mortal Kombat community. Mm-hmm. I was asked to join MKO. And that eventually led to me meeting, my best friend today, and who was in my wedding. Lord the Fly. His name's Mike, but you guys know him as Lord the Fly. So, I mean, Mortal Kombat has brought me so many memorable experiences and allowed me to meet so many memorable people that I'll never forget the rest of my life, and create experiences I would never experience without the game being made. Despite its flaws, it has provided me, so many highlights in my life, whether personally, professionally, or, just straight out friendship. I would have never met Mike without Mortal Kombat.
Right.
And that's weird. That's weird to say. But it's probably the truth.
Well, sometimes, especially with something like competitive fighting games, it's something that you don't really like to go around bragging about to the general public. It's like, hey, what do you do in your spare time? Oh, I like to go home and play Xbox for 7 hours straight so I can learn this matchup. It doesn't sound very good. But when you find someone, or you go to tournaments that have, 40 to 80 to 100 people that all share the same common interest that you do and understand why you like the game. They understand the time that you put in. They understand your mindset. Yeah. I can only imagine how rewarding that must be.
Yeah, it really. I mean, some of the coolest people I've met. I mean, if I started naming names, I'd feel bad because I'd leave some people out. But basically, everyone at NEC, everyone at Final Round, everyone at Evo, like there was 44 of us in a hotel room for like 15 hours straight, just like hanging out, talking, playing games, joking with each other, this and that. No one was arguing. Everyone was cool, despite how we are on the boards with each other. I mean, I don't really have problems with anyone on the boards, not really. And even if it seems like I do, I really don't, because I don't know. I'm 30. like I'm 30. I just kind of understand what it is. And really, if you look at any competitive sport or any competitive situation or anything that's a hobby people are into, people have their, friends fight. Friends have their quarrels. They have like their instances where they can get on each other's nerves and stuff. So I don't know. It's just like those three events have just been like extremely rewarding to me. Just kind of being a part of the community and meeting people and getting to know people better. But also the competition part.
I'll get into that in a minute. Do you think you'll ever forget those memories?
Absolutely not. I mean, I already have something like this game has been out a year today. And in the year that this game has been out, I've amassed so many. Well, I've met new people, made new friends, people I really like talking to and enjoying their company at tournaments, and just like overall experiences and stuff. I mean, Mortal Kombat's also given me a reason to go to different places. Like I've never been to Philly. I went to Philly in December. That was great. And this new game really kind of provided me an outlet or a reason to go to those places where I got to meet people that I've known for years, like Phil, who's like one of the greatest people I've met. Like great person on the online and offline, like as a person, and just a really standout person, and does a lot of great work.
Yeah, everywhere. My very limited experience with Phil has always been positive. So shout outs to Phil and all his work that he does. It's just
absolutely
incredible.
But I'll never forget those memories. There's a lot of memories. There are. I'll just leave it there.
Well, since we're talking about the scene and competitiveness and Mortal Kombat, obviously, it's like you said, you go and you practice matchups up to 7 hours. The dexterity and mindset of fighting games is something that does not blossom, overnight.
Mm-hmm.
What's the earliest memory you can recall of playing a video game? Doesn't have to be a fighting game, just a video game.
Oh, just a video game. I think it was in Knoxville, Tennessee, at my cousin's house. I was 4 years old, and he had one of those. I want to say it was one of those like Sega Master Systems or Sega. Like, it was before NES, before Genesis. It had like freaking Double Dragon on it. Yeah, I think it was I really
was
wish
it the Mega Drive?
Maybe it was a Mega Drive. It had to be before the NES. I definitely remember that. And the reason why I know is because it was a summer before Christmas in which I was like 4 or 5 years old.
It wasn't the Mega Drive.
Okay, it was. If you say it, I'll jump on it.
Let's see. And you're sure it was a Sega?
No. It was Double Dragon, but when I was like 4 or 5, I got my first NES, and it came with Duck Hunt and
the combo.
The combo, and I had I think I got the track and field pad. I got the gun. No, I don't think the track and field pad was out yet. I think I just got the gun and Duck Hunt and Hogan's Alley.
Oh God.
I had Hogan's Alley, Duck Hunt, and Mario, and I played the living shit out of all those games. I mean, I was like the Duck Hunt king. I was so pumped on NES. I would wrap up that cord, go outside, and daydream like I'm like in the video game, like shooting things outside, like with a gun in my hand, like I was into it, like ducks beware, I'm coming for you. But and then like later, I was the only human being on the face of this planet that bought a TurboGrafx 16 within the first month of release. Mm-hmm. For like $600, or however much that dumbass system was, and not to be outdone by myself, but I also was one of the dumbasses who bought a 3DO around the first month of release.
Oh wow!
I did have a Genesis. I didn't use it very much. It was okay. Like I was more of a Super Nintendo guy. I actually kind of was into the 3DO and TurboGrafx. Like Bonk Adventures was awesome, and Gex, the lizard game or whatever, the original 3DO, that was awesome. If only Crystal Dynamics, which was the game company back then, could have made more games like that for the 3DO.
Yeah.
And I think one of my first fighters probably the second fighter I owned on the consoles was Way of the Warrior, which did the unholy gesture of welcoming me to White Zombie, who was the soundtrack. God, that was the greatest game of all time at the time. Like looking back, it was the most worthless piece of shit ever made. Way of the Warrior, but I loved it. I loved that game so much back in the day. It was a total ripoff of Mortal Kombat. Like they had fatalities in it. It had White Zombie as the soundtrack. It was like a game made by a 16-year-old. Like it seemed like it was made by a 16-year-old. You know, it had like really loud, angry rock music. And it had like blood and guts, and it had character ripoffs of Mortal Kombat. And like actually after this conversation, I want to go back and look at like videos on YouTube of Way of the Warrior, because even back in the day, I remember saying out loud, God, this game has like the most irky, jerky animation motions. So like imagine reading frame data. Like somberness needs to go back and read the frame data of Way of the Warrior for me.
Can I read a quick character list of the selectable fighters in Way of a Warrior?
Oh, please do.
So we had Major Gaines.
Jack's ripoff.
Shaky Jake.
Shaky Jake?
Shaky Jake.
I do not remember that. God, he probably sounds like a Johnny Cage ripoff.
Konotori and the Ninja.
Okay.
Dragon.
How original.
No Banaga? No Banaga? I don't know if I'm saying that right.
Okay.
Fox.
Wow, okay. I don't remember any of these names. I sort of remember Dragon. Keep going.
Nikki Chan.
Sounds like a Liu Kang ripoff.
Yeah. Crimson Glory.
Oh my god, I do remember that. I think that was my character.
Crimson Glory?
Yeah, because actually, this is going to sound so dork of me, but I actually created a song title, like in one of my bands back in Dublin, which would have been around my 3DO days, called Crimson Orgy. God, if I could find an audio clip of that song, I recorded it and everything. It's probably the most ass thing you've ever heard in your life. God, I wish I could find a recording of that.
And the rest were boss characters.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
Who's the guy? Are you looking at pictures right now of what they look like?
No. I'm just looking at the wiki page. They don't have pictures.
Okay. There was a guy who looked just like Raiden. It was retarded. It was Raiden. You might as well call him Raiden. What year was that game? Was it like 94? 95?
It was 94. Yep.
God, man, that's so long ago. Yeah, I was 3DO. I was 12 years old. Yeah.
Wow.
That's weird. I was 12 in 1994. Okay, anyway.
And you said that was your first fighter?
No, that was my second fighter I owned. Like a console. Mm-hmm. I think the first fighter I owned was probably Street Fighter 2, like the original for Super Nintendo. And actually, the only reason I bought that game, I actually thought Street Fighter 2 was pretty stupid. Like back in the day, I was like, okay, it doesn't have blood, it doesn't have fatalities. This is stupid. Like I don't like it. And the only reason I bought it is because it's actually I'm not gonna name his name, but there was a kid who probably was 6 at the time or 7 at the time, who was handicapped, who lived down the street. And I was really good friends with his older brother, who was like maybe 2 years younger than me, and his sister was my age, who was totally hot, and she wanted nothing to do with me. But anyway, they had a younger brother. And he was really, he was handicapped, and his legs were ill developed, like at birth and stuff. It was just like a birth defect, and he like really took to me. Like every time I go over there, he like looked up to me and would always ask me about video games and this and that, because that's all he could really do. Mm-hmm. He couldn't really play sports or anything, so he was really into video games. I was like the guy he came to talk to about video games, and we would talk for hours about video games. And I loved it, movies and everything. And this kid was so cool. And he didn't like understand like how to play fighting games, but wanted to learn how to play fighting games. And I said, "Oh, well, I've been playing Mortal Kombat lately at the arcades. I'm doing really well. Maybe I'll borrow your game and see what I can do." So I ended up like recording matches with my VCR of how I would like play Street Fighter.
Yes.
And it became like one of his favorite things to watch. And his mom told me, like, Brant, whenever you got time, just make as many videos as you can. I'll make it up to you somehow. Take you out to movies or something with Will, his brother Will. And, because those videos, like, it really means a lot to him that you're making these videos for him. So I ended up just like making him like 20 or 30 VHS tapes of me just playing Street Fighter. And I got really good at Street Fighter. Like, me and Guile were like the shit. We were kicking ass. And I think I also played Dawson back in the day. But so anyway, I like kind of got into Street Fighter a little bit, but Mortal Kombat was always where my love was. Like, Mortal Kombat was probably the first real fighting game that I saw. Like, I saw Street Fighter 1 in the arcades, and it was like, whatever, that looks stupid. And but when I saw Mortal Kombat, when I was out of town, I went to the arcade. I would always go to arcade with $5 back in the day. Mm-hmm. And when I saw Mortal Kombat for my first time, I was like, oh my God. I love this fucking game. It's like, what is this? I think the first thing I ever saw was somebody do the Johnny Cage glitch fatality where you can knock off multiple heads. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I want to buy this fucking machine right now. Like, yeah, I remember thinking that in my head, like, I never want to leave here. I want to play this game. And so, yeah, I cannot probably tell you how much money I put towards Mortal Kombat in the arcade, Mortal Kombat 2 and Mortal Kombat 3. It's ridiculous.
Do you think that our modern scenes can or do in any way reflect the kind of the old school arcade scenes?
I think, I don't know. I don't think you can replace the arcade. Like, it kind of sucks that like kids today, and teenagers for that matter, will probably never experience a real arcade experience. Like, I know like GGA has an arcade. I think it's the Nashville, the Golden Oreos guy, like on Nashville. Like, I think he owns an arcade in Nashville. Mm-hmm. There's like maybe 4 or 5 arcades left on the face of the planet that are worth attending. Yeah. I mean, but back in the day, man, Aladdin's Castle, Tilt, Take 10, all those, man. I mean, it was like the best thing ever. Like, oh my God, my arcade's got Killer Instinct. It's like, we've been waiting for this for months. Like the bigger cities in Atlanta and Macon, Georgia, got Killer Instinct like 2-3 months ago, and now we have it. And like, and my junior high and high school are pretty close to each other. Like, the two schools are close to each other, and they are really close to the mall. So I used to go to the mall constantly, like after school and stuff, just to spend like all my time and money on Killer Instinct and Mortal Kombat 1.
Yeah.
And Mortal Kombat 2 at that time. Yeah. So.
I was sorry. Were you gonna finish there? Or?
Oh no, I'm good.
Okay. Just earlier we were talking about when we were talking about your wife. Mm-hmm. You said, when I'm prepping for a match, I don't want anyone talking to me. I have to prepare. Mm-hmm. Describe the feeling you get when you first get to a tournament and you sit down and you're just getting ready to play your first match.
It's really interesting. Like, I always compare it to like playing a show with a band. And people always ask me, like, the bigger shows I play with bands, they're like, don't you get nervous? And I'm like, absolutely not. I do not get nervous. There's not a single bone in my body that shakes or gets nervous. Now, I do get excited, and I get, like, a massive amount of adrenaline, like, for those shows. And, like, when I play with rock bands and stuff, like, I'm usually, like, the dumbass that likes to jump off things you shouldn't jump off of, and it's not staged. It's not planned. I've broken 3 ribs at a show before. I've broken my wrist at a show before, and I had to quit that one. I've twisted my ankle many times. Like, I've had many injuries, like, at shows. I've knocked myself out at a show before. Flipping guitars around my head. That's why now I always flip it left shoulder to right hip. I don't do right hip to left shoulder anymore because it's not good. You're just asking for the hitch in the back or the front of the head. But when I went to Evo, like when I went to Evo, I'd been to maybe 2 or 3 local tournaments in my life before Evo. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of funny because people seem to have this, like, I don't know, this notion that I've been to like all these majors. No, Evo was actually my first major. And then I didn't go to a single major until NEC in December. And Final Round was my second major. I mean, like, all right, so Evo was like a national, okay? And then like, let's call it like a worldwide tournament or national. And then like, okay, NEC and Final Round recently were the only 2 majors I've ever been to in my life. Now I do plan on going to 4 majors in a month, starting in May, because I have a plan.
Is this the Road to Evo tour?
It's Pig's Road to Evo tour. To be quite honest with you, it's let's see what you're made of type thing. Kind of me telling myself like, well, how good can you be, or how shit are you? Like go and see how good you are.
Right.
Give yourself the best opportunity to see what you can or cannot do, and that's what I plan on doing.
Right.
But in terms of like nervousness or feeling anxious, I don't get nervous at all. Like at Evo, I was an absolute train wreck. Like ATL Red has an absolute ton of experience at tournaments.
Yes.
And a good track record. He since has retired.
Mm-hmm.
But he was by my side at every Evo match. And whether I was winning really well or close to losing, he kept telling me over and over the same stuff, like breathe, relax, just play. Just play the game. Just breathe, relax. Because he could tell, like, I was too pumped up. I was really nervous. I was anxious. I wasn't used to that setting. Like, I wasn't used and I wasn't comfortable in controlling my mind, in controlling my nerves, and controlling my actions and the things I'm having to respond to with my eyes and my hands. Like with the guitar, it's like, what the fuck ever. I've done this so long. It's like, I don't think anymore. I just,
right. You just do.
Like, I don't have to think about playing. I just perform and my hands do the playing type thing, but like what was different. Like at video game tournaments, it was like, oh God, I've never done this before. I don't know how to properly control myself. But I gotta say, after Evo, the experience of Evo, like I came back and did really well at locals and started winning locals in October and November, and started really catching my stride and really understanding how to handle all my nerves. And then just trying to every casual match I played with people like offline or online or even online tournaments, I just treated it like a grand final match at Evo, like mentally. Yeah. And just tried to get used to it. And since then, I basically treat every match the same.
Oh, wow.
And, excuse me. When I went to NEC, I was really worried about my nerves. And because my only previous experience at a major or a national was Evo. But actually, I was really calm during all pool matches at NEC. The match versus Tom, I did get a little like nervous beforehand because me and him talked so much crap about each other, but it was all in fun. Like It was nothing personal. It was all in fun. We both care a lot about each other. And then, but you know what? Top 8 at Philly. Not only was I exhausted, like 4 hours of sleep or 3 hours of sleep.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I was nervous. Top 8.
NEC. They did the whole tournament one day, didn't they?
No. They did.
They carried over the next day?
Yeah, they carried over the next day. And
Devastation, they did the whole tournament one day.
No. No, they didn't do one day there either. I don't know where they did one day. Final round they did one day.
Oh, was it final round?
Final round was definitely one day.
I was just getting them mixed up then.
But man, I don't know. I got bodied beyond hard by Crazy Dominican, and I mean, it was balls bad ugly. Like, it was really bad. And, I left the venue. I was like, okay, cool. I got top 8 at my first major, like first real major. But, man, that 14-hour drive home, I could not stop obsessing about. I went 14 hours and got bodied by by the same character that bodied me at Evo.
Yeah.
Like, okay, so I went to a national, got bodied by a Katana in top 32. Okay, so then I went to NEC, did really well. Oh, but there's your enemy Katana. You got bodied by Katana. So, like, ever since that day, I've said I'm never losing to another Katana, period, in a tournament. And I had picked up Kenshi like 2 or 3 weeks before NEC, and he was really crappy in my hands, like, by NEC. But I realized on the way home, I was like, you know what? I think Kenshi's my answer against Katana. So I probably played like 1,500 matches with Mr. Molina online in preparation if I ever fought a Katana again, especially a final round, and ended up fighting 2, which is really good that I spent all that time like playing her. But now, if I get bodied really hard at a tournament, it doesn't matter if it's a grand final match or a pool match or a local or a major top 3. I mean, it doesn't matter. Then I tend to obsess about it until I fix the problem because it's unacceptable to me. If it's a close match, okay, yeah, I get it. But if I get bodied, nah, it's unacceptable. And for me as a competitor. But at final, going back to the original question, talking about nerves, final round, I was so comfortable at final round, like in every single one of my matches, that I felt like I could be more me. Like I could relax, I could laugh, I could joke, I could just have fun during the matches, and kind of and all the adrenaline that I had built up for the matches, I just decided to unleash in between rounds. and I didn't do that out of any disrespect to anyone I was playing or had played or this or that. It's just I don't know, like I believe it wasn't fabricated. It was pure, real emotion. And that's just how I only know one way to do things. Like if I'm feeling that emotion and that much adrenaline's inside of me, and then I'm going to let it out type thing.
Were you playing Big D at final round?
Absolutely. We had a pretty epic top 8 match.
Yeah. Describe your feelings when you won that match. Because that was probably one of the more visible, expressions of Pig of the Hut. When you beat Big D.
I mean, first of all, Big D is a really, really good player, like a great player. Like he put me in my place for a match and a half, and really kind of took it to me like a couple of rounds. Really cool. The thing about, I was so like I wanted to win final round so much. I put in so much time. Away from, work, class, school, more time I could have given to my family. I put in so much blood, sweat, and tears into that tournament. And even trying to get it properly seated, get it properly ran, like turn over all this information to Chimblanca so he turns back to me a really good bracket that everyone's happy with. And you can't please every asshole, but, like I really tried. Like, the stream, I wanted the community to be able to sit at home with a couple of beers or whatever, what have you, cook out and just watch it, make it the most memorable entertainment experience ever. And for the people at the tournament, I wanted it to be a show. I wanted it to be an event. I wanted it to be huge. I wanted people to always remember what final round was. And to me, I feel like for a large part, it was a success. So leading into that top 8 match against Big D, I was in top 8, so I was just like, oh my God, like I want it so bad. And I got my ass handed to me for a match and a half. So like mentally, I'm saying things that I don't even want to repeat on the podcast. I was just drilling myself.
Yeah. Like
you worked way too hard to get in here and just piss your pants.
Especially when you have a close friend that plays Nightwolf.
That makes it so much. Oh my God, that makes it so much worse. It's like, and I'm not going to say I played poorly. I'm going to say Big D forced me into those mistakes because I honestly feel that way. He played well to force me to play bad. And I did play bad, but it's because he made me. Yeah. Like he forced me into that. It's props.
He made you uncomfortable.
And I'm going to be really honest with you. I'm actually very unhappy with the win versus Big D, because I can't possibly explain to you why the shoulder he hit me with didn't hit me.
Mortal Kombat. That's the only thing that will explain it.
Well, it's one of the, I'll be honest, and I think I've told Big D this. If I haven't, then I hope this isn't the first time I'm telling him. But I really want him and I to play at CEO, either in top 8, grand finals, pools, first match of the tournament, whatever. I want us to play because I want us to do that same match again. Not because I'm trying to prove something or he's trying to prove something. It's just because that match left a bad taste in my mouth because I don't like that shoulder didn't hit me.
Yeah.
Like, I kind of feel like I should have lost because he did outplay me. But because that shoulder didn't hit me, it allowed me to stay in the match and win.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I want to do it for just kind of like, I kind of feel like the match isn't over yet.
Yeah.
And we're still at final round right now, and there's still a match left to be played, and we're going to play it in Orlando.
I will say this with Big D. He made me take a long, hard second look at Nightwolf after that tournament, man. I was a believer when he was going through.
Yeah.
It was just crazy.
It was really cool to see him at the most competitive tournament. In my opinion, that or MLG are the two most competitive tournaments by far in MK9's history. Even more than Evo. I will argue that with anyone who wants to. That he got 5th place with Nightwolf. That's incredible. He beat CD Jr.
Yeah.
He beat Clint. He beat he beat a couple of GGA people. I mean, he beat some good people. You know, I mean, I think he beat. No, he didn't play Morty. I can't remember who else he played. I don't even know if Morty was in his bracket. I think it was. I don't know, but every match he played was like someone good.
Yeah. He did not have an easy route at all.
Yeah, and the crazy thing is, if you go back and watch, I think it was his first match of the tournament, he had to fight Clint the Beast from Atlanta, and he got completely destroyed the first match, and then he got destroyed for half the second match, and then came back and won. He was half a round away from getting sent to losers, and ended up making 5th.
Yeah.
Yeah, so props to him, man.
It was unbelievable. So, just we'll go backwards a bit once again.
Mm-hmm.
Talking about just how hard you are on yourself and such if you get bodied, and how it's a struggle, to kind of come to grips with why you lost, and you obsess about it until you figure it out, and of course hopefully improve for the next time that you face a character. Yeah. What do you think is the hardest thing about being, you or Pig of the Hut right now?
That's a very interesting question, for a lot of reasons. I will say this. I think it's more of a Brant thing. I think it's more of a Brant thing because I'm like that, what you just described. I'm like that in anything I do. Like, going back to when I used to play tennis in varsity, it didn't matter if I was playing casual matches, round robin doubles at the beach. If I went to a beach trip and played with one of my friends, like or my cousin, or played a tournament match or whatever. If I played tennis and I missed like 2 or 3 serves in a row, or if I missed a volley, or if I missed an overhead slam, like I have been known since the age of 12, 14 to lay out the loudest fuck you've ever heard. And there could be a crowd of parents, kids, and this and that. One time, oh God, I forgot about this. One time in 9th grade, I threw my racket so hard over the fence after missing a serve and losing a set that it hit a car like miles away and busted the windshield. Wow. It was a student's car. And what made it even worse is at the time that guy was a senior and I was a freshman. And I hated that guy. He was in one of my what do you call them, exploratory classes where it's art or things like that. Yeah. But he wasn't in my art class. I can't remember what class he was in. It was technology. It was in computer technology. And I took it 9th grade. He took it our senior year. And his name was Brad something. But oh God, I remember just getting so irate. During a tournament match, I threw it in my silver lightning racket. It's called a lightning something. Hit the front windshield of his car and just shattered it. I was it was so bad. But I mean, I just and okay, let's go back to that ninth grade when I had like this anger outburst. It was not about the player I was playing. It was disrespectful to the people around me and to the player. I shouldn't have acted like that. I should have respected the game a little more. But what it was me having a hard time dealing with something like I didn't fix the problem and I knew the problem existed. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like I guess from a competitive nature, like when I do anything competitively, I always respect when I lose to somebody, I completely love them and respect them for that because I feel like we learn so much more from losing in anything that we do. And I remember back in the day, like I just remember, I don't know, I had to pay for the guy's windshield, so I lost a lot then. But I don't know. You know, the thing about it is I've always been like that. I expect the best or expect my best effort. And if I don't feel like I prepped or gave my best effort, then I get upset. But back to your original question we just asked, what's the hardest thing about being pig of the hut? See, that's probably the hardest thing about being Brant because I just have high expectations for me. Yeah. And but as far as pig of the hut, I probably have two answers right now, and they're completely separate answers. This is a total joke. Let me just preface this by saying this is not hard for me, but it's funny because someone tried to make it hard for me. Like I went to NEC, and like I said, people think I've been like 15 majors. Dude, this was my first major. Like if you don't count Evo, it was my first major. So I went to NEC and I wanted to see how good I could be against like, you know, the Dominicans and BBB and, you know, the best of the best and the WNBAs and all that crap, you know, and just, you know, just everybody. I just want to test what I'm made of. And of course, Tom. Yeah. And, but anyway, so I went up there and then, you know, I worked really hard and practiced real hard. And, but I got 7th, and I was pretty happy with it. But like I said, you know, I was extremely upset with that. I don't feel like I prepped for the one thing that made me lose back in Evo, so I was upset with that. But for the most part, I was really happy. You know, I was like, okay, I got 7th at NEC. It was a really competitive major. I did pretty well, but I got bodied in top 8, so I'm obviously not on that level yet. So when I get home, I get on Test Your Mic. And a lot of people send me a lot of great compliments on Xbox and PS3, and it meant a lot to me. I'm like, wow, you know, really love you guys, and I really appreciate you guys supporting me like this. But there was one guy who plays Xbox. People probably know him, and I'm not naming him now on here. Like if he hears, I don't want him to get upset because actually I thought it was funny. Like I really did laugh. Like I laughed a lot and was like, what the hell? Is he joking? But he said. I think his exact words were, damn, Pig, you got 7th at NEC. You've really fallen off. and I'm just like, oh my God. Like, dude, I don't know if you know who I am, but I got top 32 at Evo, which, okay. And then I got 7th at a major. You know, like, how have I fallen off? If anything, I got better, like tons better, you know? But, so anyway. It was really, so I guess that's the hardest thing about being pig of the hut is people hear the name and they know me and the community so much that God forbid if I don't go to a tournament and get first, second, third, you know, it's like I got an announcement to make, guys. I'm probably not going to get first, second, third at every tournament I go to. I might not ever get it first, second, third ever again. Do
you feel that kind of pressure to prove yourself like that for other people though? Like absolutely, I know there's
nobody else. Absolutely nobody else. Nobody, not one single person, puts the pressure on me like I put it on myself. And my pressure to me in this video game or any competitive situation where I'm involved in a one-on-one atmosphere or even like a team atmosphere, like in a team sport, nobody can match the pressure I put on myself mentally. Yeah, it's impossible. Like, I don't feel like I have to please others. Trust me, if I go to a tournament and don't make top 8, or if I go 0-2 or go 1-2, then the only thing I can say about that is, okay, it was destined to happen, but I fucking guarantee you it won't ever happen again. like I can, you know, that's my only response. That's the only thing I can say if it does happen or does, you know. If it has or does or was, you know, whatever. But the other, I guess one other thing, and this might get kind of crazy, but there is one other bad thing about being, like you said, pig of the hut, is when, I don't know, I don't even know how to start talking about this, but there was a situation that happened on another Mortal Kombat site in which I was a mod of. Okay, by now if you haven't figured it out, then you just, I don't know, you don't live or something. Anyway, I was a mod on Mortal Kombat United. And I had been on Mortal Kombat United and also the other versions of the site since most of the community left MKO. There's a lot of history behind all that. But like Mortal Kombat Central, we were called at one time, which later became Mortal Kombat United. Anyway, so the site got hacked like 3 weeks ago or 4 weeks ago. I've lost track of how long ago it was.
Yeah.
And the hacker, I don't know if planned it or whatever, but he did this under my name. He logged into my account, got my password, figured out my password or whatever, and hacked and deleted like thousands of threads on Mortal Kombat United, and then also apparently found real pictures of the owner of the site's father and sent death threats to him from a different account. Not my account, but from a different account. And just because a hacker logged under my name and deleted all those threads, it was blamed on me. This was just 3 weeks ago. Mm-hmm. That I did all the other crap. Like I deleted threads, I sent death threats, I found pictures of his father and this and that. And I got to tell you, this is a joke. I woke up Wednesday morning and it was the week of April Fools, like 4 days before.
Yeah.
And I got a text message from one of the mods and said, who I considered at the time my friend, and he said, you are accused of hacking Mortal Kombat United and sending death threats. Your mod status has been removed. You're under investigation by the staff. And I woke up at I think it was like 11 o'clock in the morning. It was like one of my sleep-in days on Wednesday. Yeah. And I was like, that's awesome. That's funny. Like April Fools come early. I swear to God I thought it was an April Fool's joke. And then I woke up, I really woke up like an hour and a half later. It was kind of on my mind. I was like, man, I wonder what that shit was all about. Like, are they joking? And I went on the site, and I get on the shout box, and I'm like, hey, what's up, guys, blah, blah, blah. And I noticed, I think my color was different. And I'm like, oh, man, they're really going all out in this. And then everyone's like, how can you show your face around here, pig, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, oh, my God, this is serious. This is awful. It's like a nightmare. So, not to go in too much further, but, that situation got really disturbing and really hairy. And for someone who I considered my friend, or a bunch of my friends, personally, mods on the site, users on the site, this and that. Right. For some of those people to actually sit there and believe for 1/2 a second that I would be mentally and physically and fully capable of pulling some heinous act like this, I don't think people understand all that I have done and all I do and all the time and all the effort and energy and money that I put into this game. Not just the game, the community, the sites, the tournaments. I've helped pay for people to get to tournaments. Right. I help people get home from tournaments. I raised $120 for one player who go nameless to get home from a tournament. I helped raise money for another person at Evo to get home from a tournament. I do this only because I really care that they have a good time, that person has an enjoyable experience he can look back on and really enjoy himself in the Mortal Kombat community. And for someone to actually believe for a second that I had anything to do with that hacking job, and the two main people who believed I did it are the two most people disconnected from the community that don't know much about our community and scene, especially the owner, and who used to be a really good friend of mine. And it really, really hurt me personally, and kind of still does. But at the same time, within 24 hours of that occurring, and people, those guys blaming me, yes, I had probably, and I might put this on the best thing about being me or best thing about being Pig of the Hut, is I had tremendous support from, I'm not going to name names, but you know who you are. Like, if you're listening, you know who you are. Like, and I greatly appreciate you guys talking to me and reaching out to me. One person that really reached out to me was H2O Farmer. I'll name his name because he was a mod on MKU at the time, and he was the only one trying to help me. There was H2O Farmer, and there was another mod who called me at 2:30 that night, but since hasn't really done much to help.
Yeah.
And that goes for another mod as well. But H2O Farmer, man, I love you, man. Like, if you're listening to this, I really appreciate you just calling and listening and believing and understanding and being understanding on the phone and trying to work with me. But to no avail, because I don't know. But a lot of people sent me Xbox, PS3 messages, TYM messages. The TYM staff, the TYM users. I mean, I got messages from people I still don't know who they are. Like, I mean, people I've met at tournaments that I've forgotten their names, and they sent me messages. And man, those people, I mean, everyone sending me messages like, Pig, I know you, I've met you, I know who you are personally, or people who really do know me personally, and they're like, yeah, I know who you are, I know you love this community and you love the people way too much to ever do something to try to dampen it or destroy it or divide it or this or that. And they're right. I probably do love this community more than I should. And what I mean by that is I put so much energy and time in trying to help people, like in terms of getting better, try to teach people what I can help with. If people have some money issues, I don't want everyone to start messaging me asking me for $20. Don't do that. But don't do that, please. I'm not a bank, and I don't even have that much money as it is. So I just want to help when I can. But yeah, I mean, I guess probably on the flip side, one of the best things about being Pig of the Hut is the tremendous amount of love and support I got from those people, and I will never forget every single one of you. And yeah, I mean, I don't know, that means a lot. And then there's a lot of people I desired help from. And would have really appreciated some words from or help from, but they didn't show any support or respect. And I will never forget you people either. I promise you that. But yeah, and can I make a public apology real quick to somebody?
Certainly.
Okay. Yeah, and we talked a little before the podcast started, and I didn't tell you I was going to do this, but when I was blamed for the heinous acts that happened on that website, I was asked in a private manner, not a private manner, like a private staff area thread. I was told this. Well, Pig, if you didn't do this, who did you upset so bad that could have done this to you? Who would have hacked our site and done this in your name? Give us some names. And I did the worst thing possible. Like, I had to think really hard about, okay, who could I have upset so bad that would try to deface my name and character and identity? Yeah. Like, who have I upset? Because I tend to try to help everyone. And I think some people think I'm cocky. I think some people think I come off as a know-it-all, and I think people think this and that. I'm really not. Like, I mean, I try to be confident, and I try to work and prepare so I am confident. But I don't try to be cocky at all. And if I come off as cocky, I'm not trying to be. But I was sitting there really thinking, like, who have I pissed off? Like, who have I been mean to? Like, who have I, who's upset me to where I want to upset them back and they would want to retaliate? So anyway, I named 3 names that I had no business naming. And I don't even want to name them here.
Okay.
But because I think I was asked by 2 of them not to name their names ever again publicly. Because let me explain. Let me explain real quick. I was basically asked to name 3 people, and I did. By me doing so, then the 2 owners of Mortal Kombat United made that thread public, like 30 minutes after I did. Like, after I gave them the 3 names, they made the thread public. Yeah. So everyone could see that I was blaming these 3 people, or attempting to maybe think it could be these 3 people. So obviously those three people got extremely pissed off at me, because basically what I technically had done is said those three people sent death threats. Those people found this guy's pictures of his real father and sent it like bloodied up or whatever. And this guy did thousands of deletions of MKU threads. So basically I did to those three people publicly.
Yeah.
What the MKU people who own the site did to me. You know what I mean? Like, they blamed me for something I didn't do. And due to duress and due to asking, like, well, who would have done this, pig? I did the same thing to three other people. And I will name one person because I told him I would do a public apology where I see fit. And he agreed. He said, well, I'd appreciate that. As AU Wanna Die. Mm-hmm. I trashed AU Wanna Die's podcast he did, that random podcast he did, because there was some information on there I didn't agree with. And we probably had like a 4-hour conversation on a Sunday afternoon, and where I apologized and explained from 0 to 100, like the whole situation that happened at MKU and why I did name him and why I thought it could have been him and why I was so wrong in naming him as a possibility. And then I tried to do the same with the other two people. But I was basically told to never mention their name publicly again. So I'm not going to. Okay. I'm trying to be respectful to them. But to those two people, if you are listening, I would love to talk in person or to talk on the phone like Evan and I did, who's AU Wanna Die. Yep. Like, those two people don't understand how bad I feel about doing the same to them as I was done to myself by two people who own Mortal Kombat United, who completely, for amount of 24 or 36 hours, defaced my name.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Yeah, and just to be clear, I didn't do it. I think I've said everything but that, but like, just to be really clear.
Well, you're not on trial here.
No, I know, and nor do I feel like it, but I gotta just say, man, there's no possible bone or mentality, just anything in my body that would allow me to hurt the one thing that I care so much and love, like the community.
Yeah.
And I could never do that. I could absolutely never do that. And and also the death threats. No, I'm not that guy. I'm not that person. Just because I get angry when I don't do well doesn't mean I get so angry to do like actual acts of anger. You know what I mean? Like, when I get angry at myself, like I remember listening to KTP's podcast with Under the Mayo.
Yeah.
And they played the name game with Under the Mayo, and it made me laugh. I was in the gym working out, and I almost dropped weights on top of my head because they did the name game, and he said, "All right, Pig of the Hut," and the first thing that came out of his mouth was anger issues. I couldn't stop laughing. I was like, "Oh my God, no! Why'd you say that?" I was like, but it was funny. But like, the whole thing with me is, if I lose really bad, then I get angry at myself.
Yeah.
Because like I said before, I feel like I'm not prepared. I feel like I let myself down. That's that's completely different than having an act of hate.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but anyway, sorry. I don't know if I completely went off tangent there, but
no, you're doing great.
Okay. Sorry.
So let's talk about the Mortal Kombat scene right now. We're kind of coming to an end of our interview here. So I just want to talk about the current state of our scene. Recently, there's been a controversy in the community about the new Player One priority bug.
Oh yeah.
People are either overreacting or they're underreacting.
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts on this? What do you think about the priority bug?
I think a couple of things that bother me in this game, the input bug, it does happen, and then also the player one thing. The player one thing is really new, and I don't know how prevalent the player one thing is in other Mortal Kombat games or fighting games. I don't even understand why it exists, and there's been a lot of different reports about, Paulo came out at one point and made some kind of post or some kind of maybe in a stream chat or something, where he was explaining like the advantages are random. And this was a long time ago. And then now we see this somberness info and video and data that player one also always has like a +1 advantage.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I don't know. I don't feel. I mean, I'll just say this. Currently, in a tournament setting, I do not feel like I have ever lost a match due to player one having an advantage, or if I'm player two, I never felt like player one had an advantage. I don't know. I mean, I could be wrong, but I've never felt like I lost a match because of that. I just felt like I got outplayed.
Yeah.
And I definitely remember every single loss. I remember every single loss in a local tournament or a major tournament. I mean, maybe a reptile dash got me, maybe it's like a 5-frame dash, instead of a 6. But, I understand what they're saying it is, what it does. Makes moves +1 if it's safe. Or you win trades with pokes or same moves that are same frame duration. My only thing is, I hope it isn't completely true. I hope there's more to it.
Yeah.
And I hope we get some enlightenment and some truth out of it from the developers like Paulo of MK and NRS. And that's all I can really say about it. I mean, it's really new, really early. But let's go and say this: if it is worst case scenario, if it's completely true, then I truly believe every frame data chart needs to be redone with player one side as well.
Yeah.
And every matchup chart needs to be done. Like Rio made an awesome thread recently that I haven't really paid much attention to, other than, I mean, I gave it one good read, and then I'm like, I don't want to deal with this right now. Where he started matchup charts based on stage, the current status quo, and as well as player one advantage.
Mm-hmm.
For one thing, I hate matchup charts. I hate tier charts. I believe in player charts.
Yeah.
And I totally understand if people are like, whatever, tier charts have been in fighting games since the dawn of time. Okay, fine, that's cool, but I don't care. Like, I don't care. Like, I mean, that's cool and all, but when I go to a tournament, I'm not so much worried about a character as I am worried about a player.
Yeah.
Now, I have gone to tournaments worried about like Katanas or Sonyas or Kung Laos or, Liu Kangs or some reptiles. But I'm now at the point a year after the game's released to where I just really think the character doesn't matter. It's about the player and how he uses the tools.
Right.
And that's just all I go by. And like when I go to tournaments, I've said this before on podcasts, but on my phone, if you steal my phone, I will hunt you down because I have so much information on my phone on me versus a certain player and what I think that matchup is per character they use.
Oh, wow.
And it's how I prepare mentally, and it's how I prepare basically if I ever were to place them in, or fight them in tournament. And I have like a rule per like top player that I have listed on my phone. I have like over 60 players listed.
Oh, wow.
And I basically have like, okay, say if I were to fight this player and he uses this character, then I have already decided in my preparation that I'm definitely going to use this character and I'm definitely not going to deviate from it. Like, for example, when I went and played Crazy Dominican at NEC, a lot of people wondered why I never went to Kenshi. Well, my Kenshi was only 2 or 3 weeks old, and I told myself before the tournament, okay, yeah, it might be a bad matchup. Not many people know if it's a bad matchup. I know CD's never lost to a Kenshi, so I don't know much about it. So I said, okay, my confidence and my knowledge in Kenshi versus Katana is not very good. Yeah. So I'm going to go with Melina, and I don't care how bad I get bodied. I got terribly bodied the first round, and I went by my chart and said, I don't care. I'm still going to pick Melina. Because I told myself I'm not ready yet with Kenshi. And I really don't think I was ready with Kenshi. And then later, when I fought him the next time, I definitely was ready with Kenshi, and things were different. I told myself I would never pick Melina against him. So,
if you could say a few sentences to the community in regards to, how we as a whole should respond to this, and, the other issues that are within this game, because it's not just one. We got like a snowball effect going on right now.
Yeah, well, there's a couple of things I'd like to say to the community about that is, please just shut up. And I mean, come on, just shut up. Because like one thing I've realized more and more in the past months, especially since February final round, we are so lucky to have the type of players in terms of the people in which they are. And like the hype players, there's a lot of players that add a lot of hype to this scene. And there's a lot of hype going on the boards, arguments. I know Maxter versus Crazy is going on. Denzel versus Tom's been going on since Evo.
Yeah.
I mean, but just my one thing is don't let the resets or the one player advantage or this or that ruin Mortal Kombat. Don't let it ruin the experience or the potential experience that we could have, because we have a very active community. We have a very active offline community. We have a very blessed community to be a part of MLG now. We're back at Evo the second year. We have tournaments constantly everywhere, whether it be a local, a regional, a major, a national with Evo or MLG. We have opportunities, and we have a lot of potential great moments that we could all experience with together, like in the community.
Yes.
Whether it be online or offline, as people and as players. And just when people are doing what they're doing, whether they're arguing or they're playing or competing or losing or winning, just enjoy it. Because 4 to 5 years ago, we didn't really have this. I'm sorry, 2 years ago, we really didn't have this. There's a lot we have not had that we have now that I think we're almost taken for granted. And we really just need to enjoy the moment, because we might not have it much longer. Who knows? But hopefully we do. Hopefully it keeps going.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that, it's more about the relationships between everyone here than it is almost about the game itself. I mean,
yeah.
and that goes with the competitive drive and all that. It's about all the people, right? It's not so much about the game, it's about the people.
Yeah. I mean, I've met incredible people. I mean, all the Atlanta people, ATL Ready, Clint, Walker, Strike, DQ Beats, who actually now lives in Chicago. I'm pretty salty that GGA has claimed him now, but but and of course my best friend Mike and Ed, beer guy Ed. I mean, God, I hate naming names because I'm going to leave people out. Like Beanie Weenies. I mean, there's so many people that and Mr. Molina, Joe, who's a really close friend of mine now. And Tom, Jesus Christ. The amount of times and hours that me and that guy, Bill, have talked on the phone in the past year about this or that or situations. I mean, I would have never had that if I didn't, have Mortal Kombat. And, me and 16-bit, talking a lot recently, and K7, and I don't know, man. I just really cherish those, the community and the friends and the friendship, and also the competition we're all part of. Because
right.
At the end of the day, we're all friends.
Right. I agree with that wholeheartedly. Well, Big Hut, it's been absolutely delightful having you on my show. We've shared a few laughs, got to know each other, got to know you beyond the player. Just like to thank you for being here and wish you the best of luck in your competitive future. Is there anything you'd like to say in closing?
I would like to give a major shout out to Storms and Tim Static, Crazy ZAQ, all the TYM staff, and every ounce of support they have given me, really recently, but not just recently, but the whole duration of MK9. And I would like to give a shout out to my wife mainly. Mm-hmm. I got to give her a main shout out to my wife for putting up with all the freaking hours and text messages and Skype and this and that I have done since being married to her. and by the way, real quick, I have done, listen up, husbands, listen up to me right now. I have turned CEO into a beach trip with the family.
Ooh.
That's how you get to majors, people. Now, UFGT, I'm going by myself. I'm going to MLG by myself. I'm going to Evo by myself. How the hell I get to go to Vegas? I'm married. I don't know. I don't know how. She's very, very awesome to allow me to do that. But no, I'll back up. Orlando, we're going to Nashville, which is Midwestern Championships. We're making a 4 or 5 day trip out of that with the family, like me, the baby, and everything. The beach trip, it's the week before that. We're making family trips. So I'm making family trips out of my majors, and I'm going to. Husbands, listen up. You got to do that. If you want your wife to be happier, make it a family trip.
I've been trying to turn Vegas into that, but I don't think it's gonna happen.
I wanted to take my wife to Vegas, but my selling point was not very good to her. I was like, well, it wasn't a selling point. I was just being honest. I said, okay, listen, here's what Vegas was. Anyone who knew me at Evo and was with me at Evo last year can vouch for me. I said, we did nothing. Like, I don't know anything about Vegas other than a Taco Bell, Silent Ones timeshare, and I think it was hotel room 903 or 902, in which we stayed at 15 hours a day with 44 sweaty men. I was like, trust me, I don't think you want Evo to be your first Vegas experience. It's not like we're out going to bars, strip clubs, this and that, blah, 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 blah. Like, I really don't know anything at Vegas other than those three things I named out. Oh, plus the competition, the tournament.
Yeah.
I think Mike went and had went out to dinner or something with a couple of people. But other than that, I mean, I opted to stay in the hotel room. I just wanted to hang out with the people and play games as much as possible.
Right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, Big in the Hut.
Thanks. Thanks for having me.
And to all you listeners out there, thanks for being a part of Life on Boon Street. And we invite you to take a stroll on by next week when we interview another very special guest. Ta-ta for now.